What's up, pet people? My name is Lexia and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be doing something that I've waited a little bit to do just to ensure that I can get it down properly and I can thoroughly do as much research as I can on this topic. And trust me when I say I've been researching for this for months and months and months, like even before I got these animals. But yeah, long story short, today we are going to be doing my clown tree frog care guide. So if you are interested, have clown tree frogs, are getting clown tree frogs, or just kind of want to round out your research, you came to the right place. I will be doing, as I said, just a general care guide. I kind of talked about their care previously in my clown tree frog introduction video, but this is specifically going to be talking about the things I do to care for my clown tree frogs. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Okay guys, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about clown tree frog care. And I'm really excited about this. I've had my 3 clown tree frogs for over or right around 3 months now. On June 28th, it'll be 3 months, so I'm super excited about that. And I just can't wait to finally share my research I've done with you guys, because believe it or not, I cannot find a lot of clown tree frog or hourglass tree frog care. And I do mention hourglass tree frog care with clown tree frog care because their care is almost identical. You can go into it and look. There's just really a size difference with them. So the enclosure size might be a little bit different, but truly they are almost identical in care. But I'm going to just say clown tree frog care since those are the ones that I have currently. Anyway, before we get into it, I'm going to talk about the temperature, the enclosure size, feeding stuff that they need, about how long you can expect them to live, and things of that nature. I'm not going to go into any type of breeding care or things to do for breeding just because I am not breeding mine. I have no intention to breed mine, and you do need to change up the care in terms of humidity when breeding frogs. So I'm not going to go into that part. I'm just going to go into the generalized care of my clown tree frogs. Okay, so first thing is first. How long can you expect for a clown tree frog to live? Typically, clown tree frogs have been recorded living in captivity, specifically with reptile and or amphibian enthusiasts, for about 5 to 8 years. It is most common for them to be 4 to 5 years around then, but there have been some reported to live 8 to 10 years. So the range that a lot of websites gave me was around the 5 to 8 years, closer to the 5-year range though. This means that you need to have a pretty big chunk of time dedicated to and have a pretty, decent timeline dedicated to providing time to these frogs. So you will need to have an expectation of at least 5 years of them living. Of course, this is with proper care, but you do need to carve out that in your timeline if you are interested in getting these frogs. So not only do you have to dedicate about a 5 years of your time to them, but you need to dedicate an allotted amount of space for them. It is noted on Josh's Frogs as well as some other websites that 2 to 3 juveniles and or adults can do well in a 12 by 12 by 18 terrarium. So, 12 wide, 12 long, and then 18 tall. If you have more than a group of 3, which I will go on to groups and their behavior towards one another a little bit later, but if you have more than a group of 2 to 3, it is recommended that you get an 18 by 18 to 24. So 18 long, 18 long, 18 deep, and 24 inches high. While I only currently have a group of 3, as you know, I do have them in a 12 by 12 by 18, and I also have them in a bioactive enclosure, as this proves to be better with frogs, more particularly tree frogs, as it better imitates and kind of provides them that naturalistic habitat that they need to really thrive, and it also helps keep humidity up, which in frogs is a big thing. So speaking of humidity, clown tree frogs need about 60 to 70% humidity in their enclosure. Too high of a humidity can cause bacterial infections, as it can with most frogs, and too low of a humidity can cause them to have skin issues as well, just more on the drying out end and not being able to properly shed their skin, because frogs, believe it or not, do shed. So not only is it important to keep the correct humidity, but it's also very important to keep the correct temperature with these guys. So Josh's frogs keeps them at about 74 to 76. I keep mine personally at 75 degrees, trying to keep it right in that healthy range for them. Some other websites say, you know, anywhere from the 72 to 78 range, kind of a bigger range for them. Anything basically in the 72 to 80 degree range will be okay from the research I've done. But you should not allow your temperatures to go over 80 or like mid 80s, because that can be detrimental to them, and it can also cause the enclosure to dry out really quickly, which makes keeping the humidity hard. And as I said, they have a very specific humidity range that they need in order to keep themselves happy and healthy. So what exactly do you feed them? I feed my clown tree frogs 1/4 inch banded crickets from Josh's frogs. I do order them in bulk, and I keep them in a little carrier just so that I can, you know, have them ready whenever I need them. It is important that you always dust your crickets with some type of calcium, and it is also important that you make sure they are eating a quality food. I will insert pictures of my cricket food and cricket water that I use to ensure that my crickets are, you know, good nutritional value for my frogs. Now that said, it is important that you are putting the correct amount of crickets in there per frog. So whenever I had the pinhead crickets, I was feeding them 12 to 15 pinhead crickets per frog. So since I have 3 frogs, I would feed them, you know, 12 to 15 pinhead crickets. Once the first month happened, I would feed them 15 to 18. So I would try to get at least 45 crickets, which might seem like a lot, in the enclosure during their feeding time. Now that I have moved them to the 1/4 inch banded crickets, I've gone back down to trying to do the 12 crickets at a time, and they seem to be doing really well with that. I have not seen leftover crickets in the enclosure the past 2 times I've fed them, so I might go up to 12 to 15. And it's not something that you do every day. You don't feed them every day with clown tree frogs, or most frogs for that matter, or most small tree frogs for that matter. You don't feed them every day. You need to have a routine schedule and ensure that you feed them right before bedtime, because they are nocturnal. If you put a whole bunch of crickets and stuff in the enclosure right before, you know, right when you wake up, before you start your day, they're probably not going to eat them till later, and you might end up having some crickets trying to bother the frogs, trying to hide, trying to escape, things like that. So I always put mine in the enclosure right before I shut off the enclosure light before bed, and then check it in the morning just to ensure that there's no food, no crickets left over, anything like that. I tend to check the water twice daily, which is another thing you need to be sure of. Since they are frogs and they might go down and soak in their water, it is important that they always have clean water. So I will check the water whenever I wake up first thing in the morning and change it, and then I will change it a little bit later right before bed, even though they are nocturnal, just in case one of them does wake up and go down to be in the water. I am unaware of that during the day, so I just change it twice a day to be sure. Alright guys, so you made it to the end of this video. As I said, this was just going to be a brief little care guide on how I care for my clown tree frogs, including the research that I've done on them. As you can see, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail with it because there's not a lot of detail to go on. You feed them every 3 to 4 days, crickets of the appropriate size depending on how big they are. You just have to ensure that you keep a humidity between 60 and 70%. I try to keep it right in the middle so it's not too high, so I don't promote breeding behavior. You have to keep the temperatures at, you know, right in that range of 72 to 76 or 78. I keep it a little lower you know, keep it right around the 75 range, things like that. Never go over 80 degrees, or if you do, don't go to the mid 80s just because that can be detrimental to your frogs. And as I said, you can keep them in 2 different enclosure sizes depending on how many you have, and then naturalistic enclosures are best for them. As you know, I love my frogs so much, and I've been so excited since I finally showed them to you guys. They are something I've been wanting for a very long time, so I'm very happy to finally share my research with you, share them with you, share my knowledge with you, and just have you be a part of my tree frog journey. So once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you so much, and I can't wait to keep bringing you on my journeys with my reptiles, with their care, with just everything I make videos about. Thank you guys so much for supporting and watching, and I appreciate you all more than you will know. So please like and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that, and go ahead and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my videos. I've noticed some people have messaged me saying they haven't been notified, so make sure to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of my pets. Anyway, thank you guys again. I can't wait to see you next time, and I hope that you join me for my next video. Bye!